Hello and welcome to our second episode on this MetaMask critique. Last time round, we checked out the onboarding flow as a group of four. This time, we're actually going to be going through myself and Marta through some buying, navigation, and any other things that we kind of find exciting. We ready to go?
Let's go.
Sweet. Okay, cool. So last time out, we ended up, I think, on this screen, and I actually now have some money, which is great. It's also surprising because Ethereum, I think, went down about 20% since the last time we spoke. But I've added some money into my account so that we can see, like, play through this and see it as a real experience. But let's talk a little bit here on this first landing page, effectively, that you get this wallet home screen. And maybe one area to talk about is navigation, Marta, and kind of what you
Mhm.
see here and what you're thinking.
Yeah, I guess the first thing that stands out is like they still have that left nav, but they have no like bottom navigation.
Mm,
It looks like quite old fashioned, I guess. It's really handy to have that left one on the left hand side so you can always access it, but the latest like apps I've seen they always have that bottom nav.
yeah, it's very outdated. I think that's a very good point. I don't think I've seen this much on like traditional Web 2, should we say, apps. But this is kind of what you'd expect for like a mobile web experience, right? Where you kind of see the three line hamburger menu, but
Yeah,
that's reserved for
exactly.
like Safari or something, not on app experience.
Yeah, and I guess you need like those that like option to quickly access the other parts of the app as well from like any point if you're just like buying, selling. That's quite accessible from like that middle section.
Yeah.
But the fact that you need to go to like the hamburger menu to go somewhere else just takes a lot of time.
Yeah, it's not ideal. It does seem to be quite an extensive menu though, and just to kind of maybe empathize with them, maybe that's why they've gone with it because they think we can pack lots in. Obviously, if you do
Hmm.
have the kind of bottom nav, you'd only typically max have four items to come in.
Yeah.
But maybe that's why. Like, I know that if that is the rationale for creating this, then I'd probably say I'd question like how many of these people are actually touching on. Like, what's the hit rate, right? How many people are going on to see share my public address or request a feature? And if that's not very common, then we'd be like, well, could you maybe tuck it away somewhere else?
Hmm. Yeah.
Let's add some stuff. So we're coming in here. We're gonna buy some Ethereum. Now, one thing to just note before we get into that experience is all of these are kind of the same, and I'm not so sure, at least on the icon for buy. What do you understand that to be, and what are your thoughts on?
Yeah,
Um,
it's not very clear. So like I feel like the icons are not centrally aligned. But
oh
that's just being
damn, yeah.
really, really picky. I'm like, is it me because I'm blind and I can't see
No,
properly?
that's so true. Yeah, I don't think the send arrow is actually like optically aligned, right?
Yeah, I don't think any of them are. But yeah, that buy one is like quite a like very simple icon. I mean, it's like a card, I guess, but it wouldn't like shout at me like this is where you click to buy. Because that's why they've used that label beneath all of the icons just to make sure you know what you're doing.
Yeah. I guess one thing that's nice is they've given all of them equal weighting. They're not
Hmm.
encouraging you to come onto this platform to do anything, which I think
Hmm.
makes a lot of sense with like the fact that MetaMask is just the wallet. They're not necessarily like a provider to encourage you to buy crypto and kind of take fees and stuff off of it. They're just like
Yeah.
almost an intermediary.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
go
wonder
on.
as well if they've selected that order like on purpose. Is it because like receive is like their key kind of goal for like the user, or is it like is there any logic behind it, or do they want people to like buy straight away?
Yeah, so a common thing in crypto is not your wallet, not your crypto. I think gets thrown around quite a lot. And so
Hmm.
oftentimes if you buy off of like a centralized exchange like Coinbase or Binance, they're holding that for you so you don't actually own it. And a lot of people are encouraged to move their crypto to a wallet like MetaMask. I think the correct term
Okay.
is non-custodial. I think that's the one. I just don't want to get mixed up between custodial and non-custodial. But yeah, I think it's non-custodial wallet. Like you have ownership over it. No one else has access to like those wonderful security keys that we kind of went through in the onboarding process.
Yeah.
Whereas with Coinbase, right, Coinbase can in theory own it. And I think recently there was a bunch of news that came out like in the contracts, I think that Coinbase holds like some legal paperwork. They could in theory use your crypto if they were to ever to go bankrupt, and then it caused like a bunch of Twitter beef and stuff. So
Yeah, of course.
yeah, it's probably a good point. Yeah, a lot of people are coming in here to be encouraged to like move over their crypto to the platform. So I think that makes sense. Should we go on to buy?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome stuff. So we have a few options. What do we see here?
Wow. They all look pretty similar, to be fair. I'm so used to seeing that Apple Pay with like the standard design that every app uses that it's kind of like a bit
Yes.
strange to see it looking the same as like MoonPay.
Yeah, like the kind of black buy with Apple Pay button, right? It's a native Apple button you get.
Yeah. And then it's
Yeah.
just like the kind of subtitles all look the same. If you look really
Mm,
quickly, it's just like, yeah, I think I would really, I'd need to obviously spend some time reading through this. I know, like, when you're buying crypto and stuff, you don't really want to like do it in a rush. But if you're more of like a experienced user, you may do it like, way quicker. So I guess the logos here help to just like reduce
yeah.
that time.
Yeah, the logos might be also good for like if you have some brand loyalty already. Like if you know of MoonPay, you can quickly latch onto that. Similar to kind of what you said about you have, well, naturally brand loyalty to Apple Pay. So you would have seen Apple Pay, but I kind of question the copy that you just mentioned, like the headlines and stuff, is between the second and third one of Transact and MoonPay. I think the only difference is the number of countries, because
Hmm.
Transact can do 100 and MoonPay can do 145 or plus, right? So I wonder if they just need to highlight that, like, recommend, you oftentimes you see recommended and there's kind of labels that they use. So perhaps they should just use MoonPay as like recommended for international um,
Yeah,
payments
that'd
and
be
stuff,
great
because
actually. Yeah.
right? Because there's 145 countries. So the appeal I see in that option is that it covers more range. So rather than just you being from the UK, for example, if you've got an account somewhere else, you might be more likely to find an option there.
Yeah, because they do
And
have
that's kind of
like,
the difference between the three, actually,
yeah,
looking at Apple Pay as well.
yeah, and like Apple Pay has this like fast, no registration required message there. So they could also do that in a more like visually pleasing way. So it's not so text heavy. So it'd be like fastest option Apple Pay
Mm.
by a wire. I don't know, like most common for international users, MoonPay. Mhm.
And again, to be honest, like thinking almost like from a product perspective, you could almost leverage these labels to make the providers compete in a way, right? Because that label could be really high value for a customer coming in, especially if we're talking about people that are coming into crypto that are looking for like guidance and maybe don't know exactly what they want, and they see a label that says recommended. The
Yeah,
hypothesis would be that that encourages you to click it, and then that's going to give the providers fees. And so you're thinking, as a provider, I want to be on MetaMask's recommended list, right?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was thinking that. I was like, actually, maybe they haven't done that because they don't want to prioritize or give more preference to a specific provider. But if they're smart about it, they should use this in their advantage.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a weird one, because if they don't want to prioritize, why have they chosen these ones in particular?
Yeah,
Like, why is Transact and MoonPay there? Why have they not chosen other ones? So there must be some element of business to business relationship that's come in, and then wire at the top. One last thing that I'll say on this is Transact and MoonPay are the providers, but
yeah,
Apple Pay is the function in which you pay, not the provider. The provider is actually Wire, right? But it's kind
true.
of the way that they've done it isn't. following the same pattern, because if you have the logo on the right, that's usually of the provider.
True. I wonder what it looks like on Android actually. If they just use put wire or Google Pay via wire. But
Probably,
yeah, it's a
yeah.
good point actually. They're like putting Apple Pay there because I think it's what probably people are more used to seeing the Apple Pay, so they already like, okay, this is like a save or this I know Apple Pay. I'll just do that one.
Yeah, exactly. Should we do it?
Go for it. Spend the dollars.
Okay. We get this screen here. Now there's a few different elements going on. So I'm gonna leave it to you to unpack some of these and
Wow.
and figure out what you're kind of understanding.
Okay. So from the headers, like amount I want to buy, right? From account one, 0x Brewer, very long account name. So we can select 50, 100, 250. What happens if you try and put less than $50? Okay,
Ah,
minimum deposit
okay.
is 50.
So you didn't say
Hmm.
that until you went for it.
Yeah, and they use that white color. It's not really like a warning, but what if you try and add more than 250? I guess there's no max limit, right? No.
Well, let's try. Let's try and go to like 1,000. Ah.
Oh, and that's red, but the
Mm.
minimum isn't red.
Yeah, that's interesting. But they're technically both outside of the threshold, right? So
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
it's the same thing. Yeah, bit of
Um,
inconsistency.
yeah. I mean, those 50, 100, 250 are interesting and could be useful if that's what people normally want to buy. It'd be really
Yeah.
cool if like they could estimate or like based on like an average of how much you usually buy, then they could
Mm.
recommend that like a shortcut with within the amount of money you usually buy. I think that would be quite cool.
I hope that those numbers are somewhat tied to some data. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I would think 50, 100, 250 do seem like common levels across like a range of traders and investors, I think, for this.
Hmm.
50 being like maybe a little bit more
Yeah.
on the, you're like, maybe it's speculative, and 250 is more the like investors.
So click just type like a random number. I don't know, like 60.
Yeah.
Okay. So it says estimated plus buy with Apple Pay plus a fee.
I find it odd that they've got the dollar value and then the ETH amount like completely opposites in hierarchy. Like dollar is clearly the huge amount because you've inputted it, which makes sense. But it's almost like, could you not just translate that alongside it to say that is
Yeah.
equivalent to it?
Yeah,
I
I
don't think it's
agree.
that different between the two, right? The dollar is not drastically more important. It is translated from the other.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit weird that they're like using like a smaller hierarchy for that. And also if you look at like below the buy with Apple Pay,
Hmm.
the the fee is like bold because obviously they're trying to warn you that that's the amount of money. But I just find it a bit bizarre that that's bold there, but then like yeah, the amount of Ethereum you're buying should be given like also big importance,
Mm,
right?
yeah. Hierarchy wise as well, it's under the button. It's almost like
Yeah,
technically, you wanna read it before you click buy.
yeah. What happens if you click on the country, like on the flag? Support countries. Okay, that's interesting. I feel like the spacing they use is not very consistent.
I
Yeah,
also
everything's a bit.
question, like, I like the fact that you can tap out using the kind of overlay gray at the top,
Yeah.
but hierarchy wise, you might want the search bar at the bottom here rather than at the top, maybe. Um, just for
I quite like.
reachability wise as well.
Yeah, I quite like the search there. To be fair.
Okay,
Um,
cool. We'll just agree to agree.
agree
So
to.
they've got a range of countries though. You can pay in a lot of
So,
currencies.
what if you click on a different country?
Oh, interesting. Wait, so this is select the country where your card is registered, not where
Not
you're
where you're.
located. Okay. I'm surprised that they need to do that. Surely when you do a card check, oh no, I guess the card comes in after. So if I do Brazil, okay, so it is the currency, yeah. The currency comes after as well. Interesting.
Okay.
See, now that's a bit weird. So they've got Brazilian, I think it's real.
Yeah,
They've got 1169, which I assume is just literally $250 translated.
probably.
So
That
that
makes
that
sense.
would be like is to Brazilian. I bet it's the same. Kind of, yeah. It's
Kind of, yeah.
yeah, which again is like the question that becomes, does someone in that currency care about the dollar? Like would it not make sense to just do 1200 for them
Mm,
rather than, I mean, this is obviously getting into very specific details, but like to create that
yeah,
complete user experience, you'd want to have the same type of experience. Like you're giving incremental amounts for dollar, but not for the Brazilian real.
yeah. Interesting. Anyway, back to your. I guess you'd have to select your country here. See,
Okay,
it's
so you have
199.
yeah,
What?
yeah. Just give me 200.
It's pretty funny.
Interesting. So yeah, we can go for this, and then you hit buy. You've got your terms of service there, which is again common every single time that the hidden and very small terms of service. We hit buy, and then I think it's a pretty simple experience.
Yeah, the only thing I'm not convinced about is
Mm,
where you have that account and also like the country, they're like using like that darker color to highlight it. So it's just my eyes just go there all the time. So it's like
really?
it's
Yeah.
not really. I mean, for me, yeah, it feels like it's given it a lot of importance.
Hmm.
I'm also like wondering. Well, yeah, I guess it's just in case you want to change your account. But yeah, I think it should be given less importance.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's
What
probably
do you
there for
think?
flexibility, but again, I've always thought about this as if you just have one account, can you flex the view to not show
Mm,
these types of things sometimes? It can get into more complications, but I'm just like, if it's not relevant, why are we showing it? The other thing is also, like you've made me think of this top section now, is there's a back and a cancel.
yeah, I was gonna say that as well.
They do the same thing. Why are there two? Surely back and cancel are the same thing. Like,
Yeah,
who is clicking cancel in the top right there? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Go back now. See what happens.
so cancel
Uh,
takes you to the very beginning. Ah, okay, okay, okay. So it's overall this kind of experience for the buying journey
yeah.
is the cancel, and then the back is like a sub journey, which
Mm.
actually I don't words commonly seen words so much for this. I've normally seen arrows and then a close.
Yeah, the back is always like an arrow normally. Yeah, and the close icon as well.
Yeah.
It's interesting they use words instead of like icons.
Cool. Well, let's try a different payment service. Which one do you want to do? Transact or MoonPay?
Let's go for Transact.
Okay.
Yeah, because then they use, oh, it takes you outside of the app.
Mm. Now you've got a little X on the top right.
Yeah, buy crypto to
So
your
it's like
wallet.
the
Okay. And now I'm confused a bit. I mean, I'm not confused, but it's just a complete different design, which I understand because it's powered by Transact, not by
Mhm.
Metaverse. Wow. Do you want to go into the design of this? Or
There's a lot. This is definitely more advanced. I can see why you might not want to recommend this to people as an experience,
Literally.
maybe.
Especially for new users, I'll be like,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
like I
also,
can
yeah,
go on.
sorry,
Yeah,
go for it.
that's actually a good question that I'd ask you actually is, as a new user, what here are you confused by?
I guess the fact that the rate is below the total fees,
Hmm. It's like the
maybe.
kind of hierarchy here.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh.
it just changed. It's when I change it to GBP, it changes. When I change it to Ethereum, it changes the layout. Amazing.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's just as a new user, when you're starting in this kind of world, you want to see like a very simplified UI
Mm,
because I think you're already a bit like on edge, or you're not 100% confident on what you may be doing. So the
yeah,
easier the experience is for you, the more comfortable you feel on what you're doing. And right now here, obviously, I've invested before, or even like a normal like TransferWise transaction uses kind of a similar format to this. So it's not entirely new, but I think it could definitely be simplified.
yeah.
Like,
I
yeah,
definitely agree. And there's also these other elements like processing time, slippage that's going to come in. And
yeah.
I think, yeah, like I still haven't quite figured out exactly what slippage is at points. I think even for me, I'm just like, I need to properly concretely understand what it is. But they have got an info here of our price as compared to market price. So compared to, I guess, when we click buy versus when it actually gets placed as an order. I would assume that's what that means. But again, it's just like a bit of ambiguity, a bit of uncertainty, which, if we're thinking about traditional payment flows, the last thing you want at the payment stage is uncertainty and ambiguity, right?
Mhm. For
Yeah.
sure.
You want to feel confident as a customer. And one final thing I would just say is obviously we have these three options. Visually, in the card layout, they look the same, right? Apple Pay goes in and it looks exactly the same as these other two. But the Apple Pay experience keeps you within the app, and then the Transact, or even the MoonPay one here, actually takes you outside,
Yeah. But MoonPay
right?
already looks way nicer, or like simpler.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
they
it's
they
less
put
like,
this at the bottom when it's maybe the simplest out of all of them.
yeah. I think it'd be great going back to what we were mentioning before of like having that kind of like recommended label. It'd be great to be like, okay, are you a new user? This is recommended for like beginners, for like more experienced. Maybe not
Yeah,
necessarily in the payment one, but just across the app.
yeah. I'll show you an example of this actually on a platform that does do this, which is a different wallet. I think this is a level two protocol one, which we'll
Oh
get
wow.
into another time. But here, when you want to actually buy crypto, you've got that label just
Hmm.
there. So
Yeah.
MoonPay is also provided, but they've recommended Ramp, which is sad. MoonPay's at the bottom for all of these. MoonPay must just not want to, it must not have a good relationship with these guys, man.
MoonPay, if you need a redesign, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, it's they've got that recommended label there for Argent, and here I think yeah, you're right. It could do definitely with that. What I've also seen is if it's going to pop out to somewhere else, is distinguishing this second one and this third one with having some sort of little pop out icon,
Hmm.
or like it's an external link type of thing.
Agreed.
Cool. Okay, let's wrap it up there. I think we've had a nice in-depth analysis for this. Awesome stuff going through the buying flow. I think there's lots to kind of improve on, from like recommended labels, showing you the hierarchy kind of more easily. MoonPay being clearly a good example. And yeah, look forward to diving deeper into other parts. Perhaps we'll go more into other parts of the navigation next time as well, and then touch on the swap, because the swaps are a bit more complicated when it comes to like currencies and changing those. Cool.
Amazing.